Hey everybody, Andy here. Welcome to Thursday Live Office Hours, where we help you build a career you love and we make job searching a little less painful than it actually is, as well as career development and all your other life-related stuff. Great to have you. Sun shining. It's actually 72 degrees out and no clouds. Bottle up this day, and I get to spend some of it with you, and thank you all for jumping in. Weather Dude. That's a great and a little on-the-nose handle. Resume Master, Billy Pierce, Adam Stark, Mr. Recruiter, Stefan, and then somebody whose name looks like Ralph Lauren, but it actually is Raf Laurie, maybe, and Bethany Allen, and Gideon, and Dave, and me, and a bunch of other people. Great to have you. Wherever you are in the world, give me a shout out in the chat. Say hi. Let me know who you are, where you're from, what you do, what you need. Put some question marks in front of your questions, because for the next, 59 minutes, I'm going to be answering as many of your questions as I possibly can. I've got a few little announcements, maybe not so little, that I'll sprinkle in. One of them is that I have a great 3-day free interviewing workshop next week that is running Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That's June 7th, 8th, and 9th, although I'm designating all week next week as interviewing week. So it'll start on Sunday, and I'll be giving you lessons and videos and other things, and then I'll be live with you Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday publicly, and then we also have some breakout groups, our private group coaching after the public workshops with members of my job search coaching program. We call them the boot campers. I'll give you more on that as we go. But let's get right into it. I see green lights, which means green means go. So, Weather Dude looks like he or she has a question. Hey, Andy, a recruiter requested me to apply to a position online. It requires a desired minimum salary. The range is $78,000 to $99,000. Where in the salary range would you suggest adding in the application? Okay, this is a great question. And Weather Dude, it's a phenomenal question, but the answer, meaning whatever you put in to the online app, is going to be irrelevant. So don't sweat this in all seriousness. And let's actually expand the question a little bit. Anywhere in that range, just put it. And I would probably put something near what your current compensation is. It's not like you're saying to them, hey, I earn $79,327. Just put something in that's close to what you earn, because what's going to happen is when you get into the interviewing process, they're going to determine what you're worth and what they want to pay you based on how you perform in the interview process. What you show them you know, and what you show them you can do for them, the value you'll contribute, and then how compelling your argument is when you ultimately make a counter offer for the offer you're going to get. So don't get too hung up there. It's no company is going to hold you to what you put on an application. You didn't know a whole lot about what the position entailed. They didn't know anything about you other than a few pieces of information you stuck in some boxes and maybe a resume or cover letter that you attached. So it isn't about where in the range. Just put something in the range or something near where you currently are, and get into the process and then figure it out from there. It's a great question, but I would not sweat it. Hope that helped you. That was a great one to start. I've been talking a lot about salary lately. If you did not see the video I put out on Tuesday about how to negotiate for a higher salary by not giving your expected salary, I would check that one out. It's a goodie. I got another one here. Resume Master. I love these handles. Andy, what is the proper method to request more work and more challenging assignments? I have not been successful so far with my requests. So here's what I would say. I'm assuming, Resume Master, that you mean what's the proper method to ask for more work with your current employer, maybe it's your boss, your management team, or whoever. And what I would say is, first, philosophically, number one, your career development, that element of this. There's multiple elements of this. Your career development is entirely up to you. The best employers, yes, will facilitate that by giving you more challenging assignments, getting you involved in areas that you might not currently have in your scope of responsibilities, so that they're teaching you and mentoring you and kind of melding you to get into other areas, or to grow up the chain, so to speak. Those are the best employers, but not all employers do that. And there may be so much work at your current level or in your current scope of responsibilities that needs to be done that it's impractical for them to extend you beyond that, because they need you to get the work done they need you to get the work done. So here's a couple of things that I would do if I wanted to take on more challenging assignments at work. And then the other element to this is you also want to take on the assignments that not just benefit you from an experience standpoint, but also contribute more value. So how can I be more beneficial to the organization? So you're looking at all of those in tandem as you work with your boss, your management team, to get a wider scope of responsibilities. But from a career development standpoint, I would be figuring out what is it that I can be doing, skills that I can be growing on my own time that would most benefit me from a growth and advancement standpoint and interest standpoint. Meaning, not all skills are created equal. Not all the skills that you build give you the greatest return on your investment or your time you're spending building them. You have to be proactive about allocating that on your calendar. Right, you probably hear me say this a lot, where I say when I'm coaching people on a high performance basis and they say, Andy, I want to get to this level, or I want to become a one of these and I'm this. And I say, okay, that's great. Let's put a plan together to get you there. Hey, just to benchmark this, let me see your calendar right now. What does it look like? And I say, well, where's the time that you're allocating to actually build the skills to go from here to here? It doesn't just happen between 9 and 5. You have to actually design the time, be proactive, and put the effort in to build those skills. And so some of that can be done during the day, but most of that's going to be done on the nights and the weekends and early mornings. So I would be looking at it that way. If there is a tool that you would like to take advantage of that's free that I offer as part of my leadership coaching program, on the overview page of my leadership coaching program, there is a button there where you can download my skill building roadmap and assessment. It's the sweetest giveaway I have. It's a 35-page booklet that outlines my designed tiers of advancement, of skill building mastery, of leadership development, and what are the skills that you need at each layer of that, irrespective of your profession or even your goals, because it talks about basically how to get the most out of your career and how to help your employer the most and how to enjoy yourself the most. And it helps you understand kind of where you are on the map and then what skills I would build in order to advance more quickly. All of that's free. And inside, not only do I educate you with the methodology, but I also show you there's 46 different skills that I outline through this roadmap, which is kind of shaped like a pyramid. And I also help you with how to put a plan together so that you can identify the particular skills for yourself, assess where you are, and then figure out which areas that you want to work on and when. It's an awesome tool. And I use it as a public giveaway, and I also use it as a guide for people inside my program. So that's something you can check out and grab. But that's what I would do there. And then as far as requesting goes, you want to express that you're interested in helping the company in a greater capacity. Some of the areas that you feel you can help them are specifically to them and how they will benefit, and express that these are of interest to me. So I'd love to know if there are opportunities. If there are not opportunities to take on additional projects at the moment, I understand. Are there tools, training programs, books, other things that you can look into that they would recommend? Because part of being able to get those responsibilities is you have to ask for them if they're not just automatically giving them to you. And the other thing is you have to show them that you're interested and you're willing to put the time in and you're being proactive about it. And at a minimum, you're at least communicating that. So that's how I go about it. There's only so much that you can do to do that without also sounding like you're unhappy with your current role as it stands. So Resume Master, I wish I knew your name. I hope that helps, and I hope you grab the leadership booklet. I hope my team can drop that in the chat. It's a really, really sweet one, and look at that. Wouldn't you know, Kara, my trusty Kara, she already beat me to it. So she put that in there if you wanna grab it. Great question. Great question. Billy Pierce, what's going on? Hi, Andy. How do you avoid repeating your career accomplishments in your career profile and your career highlights if they were all with one company? Okay, so couple of things here. Billy Pierce and anybody who goes to the Andy LaCivita School of Resume Writing, just so we benchmark this group, because I know not everybody knows everything that I've ever said in my entire life. There's a career profile, which is kind of like a summary. It is an aggregation. And I stress the word, an aggregation of what you've accomplished over your entire career. Let's just say, Billy Pierce, since I don't know your background, that you only worked at one company and it's 10 years, 20 years, or whatever. What you're doing is you're rolling up all your accomplishments in how much you, whatever, sold, saved, marketed, optimized, streamlined, whatever it is that you do. That's all rolled up. You add all the numbers up, you add all the impacts up, and you educate whoever is reviewing your material on who you are at a summary level. When you get into the highlights, you're breaking out specific accomplishments. The highlights is the next section that you want to draw the reviewer's attention to, and it is an extraction of generally three of the greatest accomplishments that you have in your career. And an accomplishment is a specific accomplishment, not an aggregation. That career profile is the aggregation. The career highlights is a specific event, benefit, and so on. And it can be repeated inside your professional experience portion of your resume where you're detailing out your work experience. Now, I want to be really clear about specific accomplishments. The best accomplishments to choose are not the ones you are most proud of, and may not even be the ones that were the greatest accomplishments that you actually achieved. Why would you not choose those? Because you're looking for the ones that the employer is going to be most interested in based on what? Based on what the employer needs, not just what you offer. It's how what you offer matches what you need. If I'm going to go, let's just give an extreme example, one just off the top of my head. If I was going to close down Mile Walk and the Mile Walk Academy, I was going to stop being an executive recruiter and I was going to stop being a career coach. And I was going to go be the chief operating officer of a software as a services company, which I am wholly qualified to do right now, this minute. I could do that. If that's the job I wanted, my highlights would not be how many millions of people I've helped in their careers, which to me is the greatest thing I've ever done, right? But in order to show a company that I wanted to become the chief operating officer of, I would want to show them what? How I grew the revenue, how I optimized services, and those kind of things. And my highlights would align to the job that I want based on the problem the company was trying to solve with me as their human capital. Now, that's a rather extreme exchange, but for you, you're trying to pick the highlights that most closely represent what it is they need. How do you ascertain that information? Well, the job description is likely going to help, and even if you don't have a job description, you could do some speculation about what kind of problems that company would have, the products it develops, the services it provides, or whatever it is. What is it that they would need solved? And that's what you want to put in the highlights section. So it isn't about being repetitive, because you're not really going to be repetitive between the career profile and the highlights. You will be verbatim repetitive between the career highlights and the work experience section or the professional experience section. So I hope that kind of illuminates a little bit about how to look at that and what to really strive for, because I think that's really what you're going for. And it doesn't matter if it was one company or 10 companies. So Billy Pierce, that is a fantastic. Can we give Billy Pierce, so that was such a damn good question. Can we give Billy Pierce, who I don't think is in any of the paid programs, and If he is, then please forgive me. Give Billy Pierce any pick of a $300 program of ours. Billy Pierce, you might want to pick the resume writing workshop, which is a good one, which is everything you need to put a resume together that absolutely hums. Billy Pierce, all you need to do is head on over to support@milewalk.com, email Kara and say, hey, I'm Billy Pierce, and Andy said I could have the resume workshop or any of these other $300 programs. And if you don't know what those are, milewalkacademy.com, or Kara can tell you what those are. Hope that helps. Let's see. Earlier questions, if you'd like to answer. I'm just going in order. Was there questions that I missed? Kara, can you clarify for me, or Stacy or whoever sent me those, are those not in my chat? I thought I started at the top with Weather Dude. If I totally missed Amber, GR, NHL, or any of those, can you just let me know if those were above the beginning here? Adam Stark, it's a bank holiday in the UK. Yes, it is. Glad you're spending some time with me though, buddy. Let's see what you got. For the boss hunt about me paragraph, I don't know that I have a boss hunt about me paragraph, but let me see what this says. Do you have examples of how to tailor it and show your bread and butter? My current bread and butter is my film planning experience and client-focused experience and being a visionary. Okay, again, actually, let me piggyback. So for those of you that do not know what boss hunting is, it's just like it sounds, finding the boss, a boss, somebody who might be a boss in the area you want to go into in a company that you want to target, and reaching into that person in the hopes that you triangulated him, her, or them effectively. They likely are either the boss or a position of authority, and you're reaching in to see if you could work with them on their team or in their area. And again, just like I mentioned to Billy Pierce, the highlights of a resume are the areas that you want to draw the person's attention to, because that is what's going to appeal to them based on what they need. The boss hunting analogy to that is what? I'm Andy, I run a sales team. I'm Andy, I run a marketing team, an accounting team, an event planning team, a whatever team. What do I need in a person that I would want to bring on to my team? If I'm running marketing, I'm probably in charge of event planning, assuming that it's event planning for outside vendors, customers, and so on. Well, then, okay, great. If you got event planning expertise, that is what I'm going to want. If that's your bread and butter, that's now you're hitting the intersection of the circles, right? What I offer, what they need. Let's get in that intersection there. And so it isn't about your bread and butter as much as it is about what do they need. That's the first thing. The second thing is, what do I have related to what they need that I could call their attention to? And then if that's your bread and butter, that's perfect. If I wanted to go and I wanted to find a job where I could lean on my secondary skill, because that's what they happen to need, and I also have another skill that's great, awesome. That's my whole life, by the way. Job searching, which is what most of you come to me for help with, is not my primary skill, if you can believe that. So leadership development and a lot of the other things that I teach, I'm more equipped to teach. But I present the job searching side of this to you. It's the same analogy when you are going and boss hunting. And if for you that in event planning as your bread and butter, I would be looking at chief marketing officers or director of event planning, or people who are running sections in larger companies that would have a need for that, right? Because we know there's 7 or 8 different types of marketing vehicles or divisions or units or tactics, whatever you want to call them, that draw people into a company. So they're all going to fall, most of those are going to fall right under the marketing manager, whoever that is, whether it's the chief marketing officer, the VP of marketing, director of marketing, or whatever. And then if it's a larger company and they have a middle management layer, you would probably be appealing to the person who was in charge of events. that kind of stuff. So that's really what you're going for. It isn't necessarily an about me paragraph as much as it is drawing their attention to what it is you want them to know about you, and what you want them to know about you should be in complete alignment with what they need. That's what makes boss hunting work. For the mistake that most people make is they're targeting a boss because they want to move on to the boss's team, but they don't have the requisite skills. They're career changing, or they're pivoting or doing something where they don't have what the boss needs. And they say, well, why am I not getting responses? Boss hunting doesn't work. No, boss hunting works when you're targeting the right people and you have the skills that they need. So I hope that helps. That's another great question there. Really, really good. Okay, so my team is telling me that there were some messages that were there before I signed on. All right, so I'm going to go back to those, and we're going to answer some of those. But first, we're going to take a commercial break, and Andy is going to give you a few announcements. Number one, tomorrow I have a leadership coaching session. If you are not part of my leadership group and would like to come to the session tomorrow, you can try the program out. There's a monthly option and an annual option and even a lifetime option, but let's just dip our toe. I'm teaching about willpower and how to develop it tomorrow. That may not sound sexy, but if you have willpower and you are able to exert control over completing things, your life's going to be pretty damn fine. So that's what we're covering tomorrow. It's at 11 o'clock. You don't need to be present to get the replay, but you do need to be a member to get into the program, to either join us tomorrow for the live session or get the replay and all the other assets that go along with it. Kara, maybe drop that in the chat. And then next week, we've got a whole bunch of stuff coming. Sunday, Monday, we've got some videos coming out. On Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I've got a 3-part workshop. This is free. I'm going to be teaching you how to introduce yourself, how to select the right stories in an interview, and then how to actually mechanically ace any interview. That's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then this is another announcement, members of my job search coaching program, the boot campers, my big boot camp, my signature job search coaching program, we have private sessions after each one of the public sessions. And so you need to be a member to attend it. And the important thing for you to know about that program is we recently raised the prices, and the interactive service, basically the package that comes with all the video, which all the options come with all the videos, is self-paced and all that good stuff. But what has historically been this program is the online support is available, the live group coaching, lifetime access to all of that is available. That price is now $997, but for one last time, I'm offering it for a steep discount, which is half off, which is $500 off, and that price break is going to expire. And I will never offer this package for that price again. This is it, final time. I'm giving you a fair warning that on June 13th, that price goes away. So if you're interested in the program, now is a great time to get in, and it's especially a good time to get in because if you get in now, the price break is factored in right now. Kara, can you drop that in the chat and let people check it out now and over the weekend, because starting next week, you can take advantage. You can come to those private group coaching sessions, and this is going to be it. And then Monday, June 13th at midnight, that price is going to be locked at $997 going forward. So I don't feel like I gave you enough warning last time we did this about a month and a half ago, and the price has been $1,000 ever since, and there have been a lot of people that have gotten in, but you're going to get one chance to get in for the discount. So I hope you take me up on that. And then let me see, what else? Oh, if you're in the private community group with us, that's the Circle platform that members of the Mile Walk Academy have access to. We've been making a lot of improvements, and one of them that's really kind of nice that I like that I saw this morning in action is we have an events section where we put particular events to get, like live office hours or the workshops and so on, and you can get little reminders from the community system that the event is about to start or the event is coming up or whatever. And I got an email alert, and it also, if I had my alerts on my phone, it would have popped up, but I did see the alert working. So if that's something that's of interest to you and you're in the community group and you want to make sure you know what's going on when and want to get reminders, check that out. It's pretty cool stuff. And then one other thing is I want to let you know, I know this is a lot, but in the next month or so, I'm going to be shifting some of the content that we're teaching and looking to the future of how y'all are going to be impacted by what I think is going to be happening in the market. And last month and the month before, actually I should say in March and in April, so basically a couple of months ago, I did some sessions on my job market outlook for 2022. I took you through a detailed program, video, webcast, whatever you want to call it, of how we got to where we are, why prices are climbing, why wages are climbing, what's happening with unemployment, what's going to happen over the next year, what I think is going to happen, the market meltdown that's coming, all that good stuff is all laid out on the YouTube channel. And because that we are going to be hitting a recession, I guarantee it, probably I'm going to guess if I had to, Q2, Q3, employment side, Q2, Q3 next year is going to be a really rough go for employees. So I want you to grab while the going is good right now. You've got some time where employers will continue to overpay, do crazy things to hire you. I want to make sure y'all are getting your payday. And once you do, you're going to need to keep it. So when you in order to keep it, you're going to need to learn how to become indispensable. We're going to be talking about that. The other thing we're going to be talking about is what's happened thanks to wage inflation, price inflation, wage inflation, right? Employee mobility, Great Recession stuff, and all these factors have contributed to a discrepancy between what current employees are earning and what new employees are earning. That project manager that has worked for the organization for 5 years and has been loyal and true and blue. And then you got this high flyer coming in with not nearly as much experience but is getting paid more. And there's a wage gap. Okay, so it's the wage increase and inflation, but it's also creating wage gaps. So how do you go about addressing the wage gap if you are relying on your employer to simply recalibrate your pay? You're going to be disappointed for the most part. Some employers will. Most employers, and I mean over 90%, will not. So we're going to be talking about that. How do you actually, this kind of goes to, I don't know if it was not Resume Master. Yeah, maybe it was. Yeah, Resume Master's question about how do we request more work and more chance. Well, even where you are right now, even if you're not asking for more work, you should be asking for more money. So we're going to be talking about that. So I'm going to be having some sessions on that. So if you're excited about that stuff, click the thumbs up button. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel too, because a lot of this stuff is going to be done on YouTube. Okay, enough commercial break there. All right, let's see. Okay, AMEGR NHL. Do you have any advice on starting a conversation to request a professional reference for a job or a professional license? Okay, so let's just take the reference part. I'm assuming you just want somebody to serve as a reference on your behalf. First place to start is I've broken all this down in my complete guide to reference checking, which includes getting references and all that other good stuff. And so that's the first place I would go to get more information on anything you'd want to know about reference checks, who to get, how to get them, when to release their names and all that good stuff. And so I would simply go back to whoever you want your reference to be and say, I really enjoyed our time together and loved working with you. I'm currently, job searching. Should the time come where I need to provide references, would you be willing to offer yours? I really appreciate your insight into me when we worked at whatever. And just, that's it. I am a fan of doing that live. I'm a real fan of, give them a tickler. Hey, I want to reach out about something. Can I give you a quick call? Sure. Email them, text them, tweet them, fax them. I don't really care, but get them on the phone and ask them that. And the other thing that does is it gives you an opportunity to do some networking. So that's how I would go about that. And I would also check my video out. It has everything you need. And then AMGM, should I apply for a position where I do not have the required certifications but can work on it within 3 months? Yes, final answer. This is a requirement required on the first day. If you have the experience, that's the requirement. A certification is never a requirement, even though they list it as one. I don't need somebody to be certified to complete the job if you have the work experience. The best companies know that. Final answer on that. All right. Music 80s. I struggle to network as I do not know what I can offer others at conferences or networking events as a public sector employee. Do you have any advice for networking for government employees? I'd love to you reach into them, and if you are at a loss and you cannot figure out how you can help them, reach in and ask for help. Don't ask for something. So, y'all, I'll be real specific here. One of the best tactics that you all should have in your arsenal, this goes for government employees or anybody for that matter. When you are not sure what to do in networking, but you want to get in touch with somebody who you think can be beneficial to you in your job search. For the boot campers, people in my job search coaching program, we have a whole session on this, okay? How to network and how to target people who are not your boss or potential boss. That's what it's called. It's in the searching section of your library. For anybody who's not in that and doesn't have access to that, when you reach out to somebody, the place I would go to is a potential teammate. That would be my next best thing. And it doesn't matter whether it's a teammate or not, but if you can get to a teammate, or if you want to go into a particular government area, municipality, federal government, wherever, find some people you think are on the team you want to join. You send them a message. There's a million ways to get this. I'm not going to go into how to get the mechanics of how to get the email and all that. It's very easy to do. You reach into them and you say, "Hi, so-and-so, I noticed you work at such and such. I'm reaching out to you because I was considering applying for opportunities at your company, at your municipality, in your area, in your region, on your team, in your whatever. Insert whatever appropriate there. As part of my due diligence, before I apply to a company, I always like to get insight from people who work there as to how they like it. Would you be open to sharing with me how you enjoy working at your company?" Or something of that nature, right? So you want to ask them for input, for insight, for help. Would you be willing to share? That's all you. 90% people will get back to you. What's wrong with that? "Hi, so-and-so. Hi, AMG. I love Music 80s or whoever it is. I'd love to work at your company," right? That's ultimately what you're asking. And so just you're asking for their advice and for their help or their insight. Then when they get back, "Hi, so-and-so. Yeah, I really like working here. It's a great place. The people are really fun. I love it." That's so great. I think based on that, input, I will apply. Before I do that, then you can decide how welcoming they were in their response. Some of them are going to be real chatty, some of them will be real short, and some of them won't respond. You decide, you need to play this out as to then what you want your next step to be. Your next step could be, "Hey, that's great. You seem awesome. Before I just fly in and apply, if I was willing to share my background, would you look it over? And if you felt comfortable, would you be willing to submit me? Is there any benefit? Do you get an employer referral? Blah, blah, blah." Go through all that. And so these are ways to warm up networking conversations, not to be overly aggressive. The problem most of you have is your level of impatience. You want one hit and done. What's wrong with 3 or 4 conversations back and forward to build a conversation that might take a week or 2 weeks? Would that not be substantially better to then build that relationship and then have a team member hand walk you in? So you got to think multiple moves ahead. This is chess, not checkers. And the longer term you think and the longer the duration you give yourself to accomplish your goal, the greater the likelihood that you will, and also in the short term, the better moves you'll make. The better move is asking for that person's help, not asking for that person to refer you in. That's a multi-step process. So that's another way you can go about that, and that doesn't matter where you work or where you want to work, right? Those are very powerful words. I need your help. So you would be amazed at how willing people would be. So I hope that helps. I got a big heart here from Nellie. Says, I came by just to say thank you. I've listened to you faithfully. I got my current job a year ago using your tips. I just landed a new job making nearly 20K more with your help just last week. Can we give Nellie a high 10? Can we give Nellie a high 10? You know what, Nellie, thank you so much for doing that. And you know what? Music 80s. Let's do this. Music 80s, I would like to give you my $300 Job Search Challenge program. It's got 5 main sessions. It's got multiple bonus sessions. That will help you if you're struggling with networking, because I go into all that. So Music 80s, if you don't already have the Job Search Challenge product, email support@milewalk.com and ask Kara and say, hey, Andy was going on and he thought my question about advice for networking with government employees was a great one and he wants to give me a $300 gift. All right, Ronald M. How would you recommend answering the question about what professionalism would you bring to the position at the interview? I was asked this question on my oh, wait, hang on. I'm a little confused here. Answering the question, what professionalism would you bring to the position at the interview? Well, if you you said you were asked this question at your last interview, I don't know that that's a really great interviewing question for them to ask you. I think professionalism is something observed, not stated. So, I mean, that opinion aside, you asked me what would I say. If I was faced with that, I would just simply go through the most mundane checklist of professionalistic behaviors that I have, right? I'm empathetic, I'm thoughtful, I'm caring, I'm helpful, I'm whatever, like list them all off. And the problem with a question like that is there are multiple characteristics that make up professionalism. For you to give an awesome answer, you would have to describe yourself in each of the character traits. That's why I don't like that question on the employer's behalf, but that's probably how I would have approached it. All right, looks like I'm caught up there. All right, let's see. Mr. Recruiter. Andy, how often is it recommended to keep touch with your references? Do you suggest phone calls or emails? Also, if job hunting, should I notify them after the interview or when applying? Mr. Recruiter, I want to commend you on being incredibly economical with one chat, getting 3 questions in there. That's what I call efficient. Can we give Mr. Recruiter a $300 program for being efficient? How about that? All right, Mr. Recruiter, make sure that you're Mr. Recruiter, not to confuse you with Resume Master or whatever. Make sure you email Kara. So Kara, so far we've given away about $1,000 in programs. All right. How often is it recommended to keep touch with references? I don't know. One reference I might not talk to for 10 years and one reference I might not talk to for 10 minutes. There's no hard and fast rule. But I do like when I'm going to ask for a reference, I would reach out well before I needed it, just in case the person's difficult to get a hold of. I would also say, would you be open, if I reached back to you anytime I was job searching? I really appreciate blah, 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 right? Our relationship and this and that. Do you suggest phone calls or emails? What I would do is I would email them first and I would make sure that we ultimately got on a phone call. And I would do it a couple of ways. And this goes to the strength of your relationship. Okay? So if it's somebody who I hadn't talked to in a long time, I'd email them and then I want to talk to them before the process. If it's somebody that I kind of knew pretty well, I'd say, hey, we good? Good, good, awesome. Good, good, awesome. Hey, when I get something on the line, I'll alert you and I'll call you to let you know what's going to be important to them. Hey, okay, I gave them your name. I interviewed with them. They seem to be really interested in these 3 things. Would you make sure that you're driving home points related to? Boom, boom, boom. That kind of stuff. And if you're job hunting, should I notify them after the interview or when applying? I would just say, hey, I'm job searching. I want to let you know. Remember, we talked last year. I really appreciated you serving as a reference. Would you be open to doing that again? I'm starting my hunt. Okay. Now, let's say a situation arises, and this is I would also check, Mr. Recruiter, my references video that I mentioned to Billy Pierce or somebody else earlier, because a lot of times you put references on an application. So you don't even know. They're asking you for references before they even interview you. When you get into the screen, you say, I gave you references. Do not call them under any circumstances unless you're going to give me an offer. And when you do, I will review and verify that those are the 3 I want you to call, because I might want to pick somebody different who has more exposure and interaction with me related to the things that are most important to you. I gave you 3 general references, but I have 10 references that I can choose from, and I want to make sure I give you the most ideal ones. Gets down to the end. They want to give you, Mr. Recruiter, a job offer. Mr. Recruiter, you look to the HR person and you say, you need references. I don't want you to use 2 of the 3 I gave you. I'm going to give you 2 different supervisors because this one worked with me on that and this one worked with me on that. Then you got to hustle and call those 2 people and say, hey, I know it's kind of last minute, but I thought you would be a better reference for me. I'm interviewing with this company. Here's why I'm choosing you now. Would you be open to doing this? Can I give them your name? And so on, right? Like that kind of stuff. Now, if you've kept all of them warm, I'd have 6 to 10 references. Without a doubt, all the time. Like if I was getting ready to go. And you want to have some supervisors, some peers, and if you're a managerial resource, you want to have some staff that'll speak on your behalf too. There you go. Great, great question. All right, who's loving this? Who's got some good questions for me? Right? It's like Andy Claus today in June. So it's like Christmas in the summer. Stefan, Raph, Lore. I'm telling you, it still looks like Ralph Lauren to me. I think maybe because I love polo so much, as you guys know. Bethany, good to see you. Gideon, what's up? Dave Coburn, how you doing? Up. Kara's telling me my friend Cisco Maldonado, my boot camper. I have a final interview coming up, but also have 2 companies who expressed great interest, but a bit later. What is best philosophy for managing time? I would, at the final interview, just say, hey, look, I want to let you know, I've got a couple of other companies. Actually, hold on. Cisco, this is such a great question. And because Cisco is a beloved boot camper who is just, man after my own heart here, a lot of times this happens, right? So here's what you want to do. You want to plant the seed in the final interview. Want to let you know, as I mentioned early in the process, I would let you know if anything changed in my status or if I was interviewing with any other companies. I have a couple of other organizations who've now engaged with me. I will let you know how that proceeds. Do you have any idea? I would mention this at the final interview and just say, hey, just want to let you know when we're done, and just let me know what your timing is. And then you plant that seed. And then you're going to decide, do you want to make it work with the company you have the final interview with? Now you have more leverage because you have, right? Remember the expression that I tell you to use when you're negotiating. Here's my counter, and for this, I drop everything. The more things you have to drop, the better. So all you got to get that, right? Salary negotiation-wise, what are things you can drop? I have other companies that I'm interviewing with. We're still in the middle of the process. I have other companies I'm interviewing with. They're about to give me an offer. I really like my current employer. Why is this something that's important? Because when you go back to your current employer and you tell them you're about to resign, if you're in good stead with your current employer, what? You're susceptible to a counteroffer. A prospective employer knows this. What is one of the hugest mistakes that job candidates make in the first screen that screws them in in the negotiation process, and I'm not talking about giving your expected salary. Here's a hidden, shoot yourself in the big toe kind of moment. All right, I want you guys almost to freeze this, because here's what you do. Remember, Andy says, I need things to drop at the end. You dropped your current employer in the first screen. Why? How'd you do that? The little old recruiter says to you, hey, Cisco, why are you open to leaving your current job? Oh, you know what? That place is going south, man. There's not a lot of opportunity there for me. I'm really looking for more career challenges. You sound like you got a lot of them for me. Right, okay. You get it, right? You flowered up in Andy speak like I would want you to, but effectively that's what you're saying. What did you just take away from yourself? Your current employer. I know you're not going back there. Right? So now you and I are going to haggle over money, and you don't have that at your disposal. That I'm not worried about that. I need to be worried about that. Why? So I overpay. Why? Because I want my risk to go down. But you took the risk out of the equation by telling me you're in a dead-end job. Or, you know, my unit is being sold to. Yeah, except what? You have other opportunities in the company. Don't tell them you're out. My unit is being sold. I'm being offered other opportunities internally because of the change I'm investigating, which is why I'm open to moving. What if that's your only chip? Then you get down to the final interview. Then they say, hey, Cisco, come to me. Right? You say, hang on. I got these other things I'm checking internally. But if you make it this, I'll drop all those. Who's tracking with me? Come on, give me a shout in the chat. Do you see the little subtleties of what you're doing or not doing? Chess, not checkers. Knowing all the things you shouldn't do. Who loved that one? Right? Give me a hey in the chat. Hit the thumbs up button or something. Let me know, because you know it's obviously very difficult for me to give you all these at once. But I love the prompting, Cisco. I love the question. And that's how I would handle that. That's how I would handle that. It's really, these are subtle things that you need to keep tacked down as you go through the process. You want to give yourself every advantage of that. Okay. All right, Kara. Thanks for shouting at me with that. Let's see. Where was I? All right. Medina T. What's up, Doug? Love the helmet. And Ernst. Good to see you. You're 2 for 4 in boss hunting with 1 II. I love it. Good luck to you. Michael Tierney. How's it going in the Northeast? Kurt, it is sunny today. Ian. Hey, Andy, I'm just starting after 19 years in the same place. Trying to be authentic and prepared and enjoying your videos. Ian, great to have you. Deb, what's up, Princeton? Laura Trucano Harp, first interview on Monday in 20 years. Oh my God. You and Ian have almost 40 years of non-interviewing dust on those shoulders. Dust it off and good luck to you. Sugar Pie, Terry, Steve Johnson from the Philippines. Jeff, good to see you. You should get connected up with Bethany, you Sarasotans. Beverly, how are you from Myrtle Beach? Reka. Atunga, Reka, oh, you guys are so great. Uzoma, what's happening? I know, Jubilant, is it not? The queen. All right, let's see, what do we got? How to negotiate. Lime Nuts, how to negotiate a raise at 1 year with a startup. PM role, clients impressed, negative churn. Negative churn, I'm assuming you mean churn. A negative is churn. I'm assuming that's what you mean. I'm at 9 months and have 12 weeks to plan. Lime Nuts. If you are not in my leadership coaching program, it will be the best $49 you ever spent in your life to get in and try it out for a month and watch the sessions related to preparing for your performance review. That's one. How to negotiate your pay raise. That's a separate session as well to really do that. But what you want to make sure that you are doing is you are understanding and capturing all of the accomplishments that you've done. The accomplishments that you've done can be most easily captured using my Career Achievements Journal, which I will ask my team to drop in the chat, because the Career Achievements Journal will prompt you with the 14 most important pieces of information to gather for each of your major projects. You want to have that so you can reflect back on the benefits you helped them realize. Do not expect your company to know clearly what the ultimate impact was of what you did. All right, there's ripple effects, the butterfly effect. There's many things that occur as a result of what you did. Now, remember this. When you're going to negotiate a pay raise, you are not negotiating on past performance. You are negotiating for what? For the future. I'm giving you a raise for days you have not worked yet, right? This is the problem people make when they try to negotiate. But I did. That's done. You get a bonus for that. That's not part of your negotiation. Now, your negotiation is, I'm going to leave and I'm going to walk out the door with all these, right, skills and knowledge. That's bad. That's not a great way to negotiate, but that can be implied. So you want to talk about what you're going to be doing going forward and the impact it's going to have. Let me give you another way of looking at this. You're a project manager, and let's just say, sake of argument, you're going to stay on the line. Just a project manager. You roll over, it's, 3 months, so September 30th. And October 1st starts your pay raise. Okay, well, on October 1st, is anything changed? What's changed from September 30th to October 1st? Are you working on a new project that you could make an argument's more visible and more important? That's an argument that could be made. Are you doing something faster, more efficient, which means you're freeing up time to do what? Other things that add more value, and so on and so forth. If you're doing the same job you did on September 30th as you did on October 1st, you're going to need to make a compelling argument as to why I should pay you more money. So there's a number of things and nuances that occur, but you have to think through all these things. You could make an argument about your past performance and what it will enable you to do in the future because of the working knowledge, the experience, the know-how, and all that other stuff that you've accumulated and done, and the contributions you've made. But you get a bonus for that. That's a bonus paid in arrears kind of thing. A new payday is about stuff you will be doing, which means the argument that you need to make is about what's going to happen in the future. I hope that helped. I would really take me up on that. Try to get in that leadership program. Actually, join me tomorrow for Willpower. Take in the additional sessions. If you don't like it, you can get out. Bradley Stone, what's up? Trevor, starting a new job on Tuesday. Thanks for the videos. Took a long time. Glad you are in. Can we give Trevor a high 10? All right, who's loving this? All right, wait. Quick couple announcements just to remind you. Workshop. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, interviewing. Going to be a ton of fun. If you are in my boot camp and you have not submitted your resume for hot seating for the intro part of Tuesday, and you would be interested in either doing it in the public format or in the private format, please get that in by 5 o'clock today. I'll be calling y'all tomorrow with who needs to get what and how you get up on the thing with me and everything, and would love to have you. And tomorrow, Willpower, 11 o'clock for members of my leadership program. We also had those enhancements in the community. Check that out. And I talked about the topics that we're going to be covering coming up about how to become indispensable, what to do at work, and how to actually ask for that pay raise. We're going to be talking about that too. Juliana, how are you? Geraldo, love it. You are welcome. And Aylin, my dear Canadian, great to see you. Atunga, my boot camper. Oh, this is so great. RND again. Hey to you. African Gray Parrots, what's up? RND again. I don't know if that's all. I don't know how to pull that together. I'd love to have you, Andrew C. from Toronto. You are welcome. And okay, you're my LinkedIn Connect from yesterday. Sarah Michelle, how are you doing, my boot camper? All right, let's see. We've got African Gray Parrots. What's your advice for me doing interviews? Because I just moved to the USA and my experience is outside the USA. There is, to me, don't overcomplicate this. Just because you have not worked in the United States, if you are authorized to work in the United States, where you have some sort of visa, or if you have a green card, or if you're a U.S. citizen and you happen to be outside the U.S. for 10 years, now you're moving back, all that. You said you just moved to the USA. I would not, I wouldn't overcomplicate this. One thing that I would use to your advantage is I would try, and I don't know what you do, but global projects or something that could take advantage of your experience internationally from the US would be what I would look at. So from a targeting standpoint, I would look for global positions or positions that have an impact or will have an impact or are perhaps being done for or in the companies or the countries that you just left. That's one tactic. Believe it. Use what can I use to my advantage? JD, is there such thing as overselling yourself, and does this hurt you throughout the interview process? Okay. So, you know that funny expression, like once you get the answer you want, stop talking, right? Hang the phone up, walk out the room, whatever it is. Well, that's true, except in an interview, I don't look at it that way. In an interview, it isn't about overselling yourself. It's about making sure that you are driving home the points that the employer needs to know about you, that help them see and connect the dots, that you match what they need. As far as, how am I going to solve this problem? I need a person who either has solved it or has the skills to solve it, and I can clearly see that this individual is checking the boxes. So I'm about, so let me give you a great story. This is a really great question. I did a coaching session last night. Olivia, shout out to you. I don't know if you're here. Wonderful boot camper who is a senior project manager is interviewing with a great company for a senior IT project management position. Now, when you do something like this, we were trying to ascertain from the job description the likely questions that she was going to be asked, and I decomposed the job description into the 6 major components that she needed to make sure she scored on. Here's your scorecard. You got to go 6 for 6. Except that she didn't have a neat story that accomplished all of them in one fell swoop. So what we did was we helped her understand how to Frankenstein it, basically is what I call it, where she had the market experience, so she understood the business concepts, except they wanted her, and she understood the business concepts because she was responsible for maintaining the system that was already built that covered the human capital functions that this new company wanted her to implement from scratch, which she hadn't done yet. And so, but when you look at the job description, it called for somebody who knew how to run, was a senior level, who knew how to run IT projects with particular types of methodology, software package implementations for human capital management solutions. Except that the full life cycle implementations that she did didn't exactly match, except they were IT projects. They were full life cycle, just not the function that they wanted her to implement. But she had the knowledge of the function that they wanted her to implement. So what she needs to do in her interviews, and I showed her how to do all this, was tell stories so that she was clipping off each of the boxes to sell herself across what she needed to sell. Because they're going to be looking for those 6 things. It was clear as day to me, although it was probably difficult for her to see it until once I exposed it to her. So it's not about overselling. It's about making sure that you're actually selling against all the boxes that need to be sold to, so that the employer can determine that you have all those skills. The issue, JD, you'd run into is if you were spending too much time in one of the boxes because that was your best skill, and missing the other things that they needed to hear from you. And without going into all of her items, it was a very, very productive session where we were able to get through all that. And once she saw all that, then she could immediately register what she wasn't doing in previous interviews that were not successful. So that to me is what I see a lot of people doing. It's like, yeah, all right, I understand you can do that. I need to know if you can do all this over here too. And so that's a lot of times what happens. It isn't really overselling yourself. It's not spending the appropriate amount of time and care in all the areas you need to. So I hope that helps. That's a really, really good question. Really good question. Let's see. RG is a boot camper. Andy's resources give you more than you need to land your next opportunity. Easy to follow, next level. Put in the daily work and results will come. RG, whichever one of my RGs you are, thank you. Let me see if, oh, look at this. I was able to pull that up. Folks, you know, I know I'm not doing a whole lot of selling other than letting you know this is available right now, but I hope you at least enjoy some of the input from people that are members of this signature program. The program's been in place 5 years. It's a well-oiled machine right now. It's over 10,000 people in that program alone. It's a huge community. They're very helpful. Over 100 countries that are in it, nearly almost 200, I think. In fact, from different places around the world, all different ages, all different career goals. Michael Glenn also loved the channel and your videos. I definitely want to take you back. We would love to have you. I'd love to help you on the deepest level. I really would. I really would. So take advantage. The price is the best it's ever going to be through June 13th. All right, speaking of Michael Glenn, about to go to second interview as an older guy. I was debating dyeing gray out of my hair. Sounds like it's not a silly question. Let me throw this one up here because you happen to be right in my sights. But I don't want to falsely advertise either. This is what I would say. I am a fan of being you. And if you've got to dye your hair and that makes you feel more comfortable, then do that. I would much rather you not dye your hair and go in an interview, and if they like you for who you are, you know it's going to be a place for you. And if they don't like you for who you are, that's probably not a place for you. That's what I say. Now, it doesn't matter what I think in this case. This is, to me, more about how you feel. If you think you'll feel more confident, then you go dye your hair, and I support that. If you feel like, no, heck with that, I want to do me, I want to be me, I support that too. So I know that's, probably doesn't, really push you over the edge one way or another, but I'm telling you, in the long run, it's better to be you and be upfront about who you are and wow them despite that. The even better part of all this is targeting the right organizations who you'd never even need to consider dyeing your hair for. So I hope that helps, my friend. I appreciate that, and I hope you jump in. Let me see, where was I? Oh, I lost my spot here. Hang on, let me just zip back up. I was flying around with RG's thing. Oh, there's a lot of questions here. You guys are awesome. I know we're right up on time. Hang on, let me see. Here, where am I? Okay, thank you. Give me a go. Elian, my boot camper, what's happening? Andy, thoughts on conditions changing right after start, which would have gotten you better dollars? Title. SO. Example, SO resigns, you inherit number one client, or you learn boss pregnant, you take over her job. So here's what I do. At the moment these things occur, I go on record, say, hey, look, I'm happy to take all this on. No problem. That's good attitude, right? I'd love to know if we can set a time out in the future where if all this goes well, especially all this I'm inheriting and all this extra responsibilities I'm taking on and all this good stuff, where we could revisit my position and compensation in the company. Go ahead and do that. And I probably wouldn't say that as soon as I got handed something, but as I was already entrenched in doing it. Boss is pregnant, leaves, that's okay. You take her job 3 weeks in. 4 weeks later, you make mention, right? She's going to be out 3 months or whatever. That kind of stuff. I like it. Tom Phillips, have an internal interview Friday due to someone quitting. Only 70% of the technical skill set, how to address the gap. If you are technically, let me see if I can pull this up. If you are technically deficient and you are not just mildly, you are majorly deficient, Then it becomes, of the 70%, let's go to the extreme. Let's go to the extreme. Let's say I'm 100% deficient. Why would I be interviewing somebody who's 100% deficient in a technical skill? Well, I'm looking for somebody who understands storage on an IBM platform and you understand it on a Cisco network or whatever. But I'm open to letting you learn, and you seem like you're a technical whiz and this and that. I would be, if I'm interviewing you, and because you have the interview, right? They're saying there is a possibility I would hire you, or you are qualified, more likely. So now it's about connecting the dots. Well, I haven't yet worked with the IBM platform, but I fully understand Cisco's this and that, and it's analogous because of this, or it's just like that, or in your environment it would work just like that, and then try to become somewhat, I don't want to say fluent because you're not going to become fluent, but where you can interpret what that language is, so to speak, pun intended, right? Like that you understand the technology, or at least the construct of it, to where you could at least draw parallels so that they could say, oh, Tom's going to be able to hit the ground running and he'll be able to pick that up. I haven't worked with this human capital management product, but I've worked with this human capital management product that also handles the same functions, kind of thing. And so you're always trying to drive. Tom, intervention, chapter 6, question 10, might be on page 58. How do you educate yourself? That's the response you want. Actually, I'm pretty sure it's on page 58. Check it out. Good luck. Stephen Elliott, my interviews have been all virtual. I've created notes specific to the role with talking points and info that I keep off camera. Should I be careful not to reveal this to the interviewer? I do not like it if I'm interviewing somebody and they are working from notes. The only time I would ever want you to have notes of any kind would be as if you were actually giving me a presentation. So, and I wouldn't even want you to have notes. I'd only want you to have the slide or slides or whatever it is. So you don't want to reveal that. That is different than when you're asking me questions and I want you checking your spreadsheet and your list or your Word doc or your organization or groupings or whatever. That's different because you have a lot of questions and you want to make sure that you're being thorough and don't forget anything. But for you to tell me a story and you have to check notes, that bothers me, because if you did it and lived it, you need to know it right off the top of your head. And I understand that you might be talking about stories that happened 10 years ago, but it's your job as the job seeker. If it's on your resume or you're going to bring it up in an interview, you need to know it cold like you did it yesterday. There was this project I did 10 years ago. This is the business problem. Here's why we were doing it. Here's why I was called in, and here's what the goal was. And so it needs to be, here's what the weather was on that day. It needs to be like that. And you should take the time to create these constructs. Actually, Thursday next week, that's what we're going to cover. But I don't love using notes. Now, if you're in a virtual interview and you got notes about, I have no notes. And when I give you guys talks, I have like the quote cards or the note cards for you guys, but I don't really ever use notes. I just know what I want to tell you. You should be able to do that, especially if it's something you live through. So that's actually Stephen Elliott. Maybe Stacy can drop this one in the chat. I actually have a video on using notes. Is it okay to use notes in a job interview or something like that? And I break it all down. Everything you'd want to know about using notes in an interview, something like that. I put some cheeky name. What's this? Chris Evering. I just popped in while at my new job. Shout out to Bootcamp Jetting for sharing his company in the private community, better pay and benefits, autonomy, and wonderful people to work with. Can we give Chris a shout out? Let's swap out Tom. Bootcamper Tom out for Chris Evering. Great to see you. And kudos to Jetting too. Love it, love it, love it. All right, next question. Sarah Michelle, what's up? How to show a large company I can succeed there if I've only worked for small to medium-sized companies. The magic, Sarah, in jumping from a small company to a large company has to do with the organization that you bring with you. So here's the disconnect. So people from large companies, Wait, no one is right and no one is wrong. You like what you like. You've worked at what you've worked at. There's advantages to working at large companies. There's advantages to working at small or medium or whatever. I personally like small to medium-sized companies. And remember this, 90% of the world works for a small to medium small size company. That's true. Okay, you hear about these 400,000 person companies, except that's not the norm and that's not where most people work. It truly isn't. Most of the world is made up of small businesses. So when you are trying to take a leap and interviewing with a large company, what the stigma of people who've only worked at small companies is they don't understand the grandness of the project or the level of impact or ripple effect that it has. The organization required to do something this big. So when you work at a small company and you're working on a project that takes 2 months versus working at a large company on a project that takes 2 years, it takes 2 years for a number of reasons. There's a lot of red tape and a lot of people who got to go home with their feelings intact every day. There's also issues with the amount of money they're spending, the impact it's going to have, how far-reaching it is too. So somewhere in the middle of those two things is a year-long project. If you don't have the right construct, methodology, organizational skills, and those kinds of things, because you're doing agile-related styled projects, you're moving fast and loose, and there's not a lot of structure needed, just go do it, they're going to be concerned. So what you need to show them in your storytelling is how you're structured. And so you want to make sure that when you describe how you did what you did, the best thing that you can do for yourself is provide context initially, the gravity of what you were doing. We had this business problem. This is what it was doing, and here was the impact. It was a problem. I was called in. So I needed to run the project. Here's how I ran the project. I did these 5 stages, these 5 steps, these 7 steps. You walk them through it. And then here's what happened. And so as you're telling that story, what comes out of the undercurrent there is, oh, she comes with a playbook. She understands and she's organized. And then she would just have to apply that to a bigger spreadsheet here, kind of thing. So that's gonna need to permeate through all your storytelling. Well, you're in the boot camp, so you can grab a lot of this stuff inside the program. But we're going to also be talking about some of this on Thursday on the YouTube channel. So hope that helps you, Sarah. All right, listen, folks, I have got to get running. Lots going on these days. So quick recap: tomorrow, leadership, willpower. It's going to be awesome. You need to be a member to attend or to get the replay. Next week, or I'm going to send you a message on Monday, we've got new video coming out about 10 tricky interview questions. Then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, how to introduce yourself. Tuesday, selecting the right stories. That's key. Not how to tell a story, but selecting the right ones. And not the 6 that you normally hear me say. I'm talking about how do you choose this one or that one. They ask me a question, what do I do? That's Wednesday. And then Thursday is how to ace any interview question. And then each day after those sessions, we go into private group coaching with members of the boot camp, of the job search coaching program, which is now $500 off. This is the best price you're ever going to get. And June 13th, that thing is being changed forevermore. So please, if you're on the fence, get in. It does come with a return policy. That's how confident I am it will work for you. And don't worry what your challenges are. They might hurt and they might feel unique to you, but believe me, with all the experience that I have and all the people in the community, we've solved it before. We know it. It feels unique to you because you're living it. So don't worry about that. And then if you're in the community, check out some of the new additions that we've made in the Circle platform. And make sure you get in there and say hi, introduce yourself, share your wins and all that good stuff. And everybody who's not in the leadership program, I want y'all to have a great weekend. I really appreciate your time and attention. If you got value out of this, please click the like button. Send the message to YouTube that you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel because you know how much it hurts me when you don't get my new stuff and you don't get the alerts that I'm live. All right, y'all, be good. I got a ton of stuff to do. I wish I could enjoy the sunshine, but I hope it's sunny and shining where you are. Talk to you soon. See ya.